I still can't do intros. They're very difficult. I absolutely see the value in Nandi's little chime. It makes the starting of videos much less awkward. Today, I want to talk about, I guess that's my intro. Today, I want to talk about Asmodai and the potential he has, and if you should purchase him or not, because he is not releasing in a legendary heroic event, nor is he releasing in a normal heroic event. He's releasing through the battle pass. And once the battle pass is over, he's going to be RNG, and those are infinitely harder to get. So I just want to look at him. I just want to see how he functions. Let's just go. Yeah. So first things first, before I look at his passive and his active, I just want to say I do know of Nandi's video about the leaks. He appears to have 4 hits. I will take him into account as a buffer, not a damage dealer himself. So if he does have more or less hits, if he has more hits, it's cool. If he doesn't have more hits, then, it is what it is. If he does have 6 hits, I think he will be infinitely stronger because of all the buff stacking you can do. I don't want to get too ahead of myself. So let's look at his passive first. So his passive has 2 parts. The first part is select an enemy on the battlefield for this round, and next, all friendly units deal 10 damage. Sure. And the second part is if the enemy enters chaos, it gets suppressed, as when I and friendly Dark Angels units immediate attack. So first things first, what happens is it's level 1, he's not unlocked yet. So we have to do a little bit of math. Luckily, we do have enough characters in the game to know what the damage is going to be. So if we scale the active for a level 50, it's going to do plus 1,000 damage. So that's plus 1,000 damage per every single hit in melee. So a Bellator will do plus 6,000 damage. That's not shabby at all. That is actually higher than the Eldarion buff, which is 900 for a non-Eldar. It is higher for Eldar, but we don't use Eldar for damage anymore, just for buffing. So the second part, it doesn't matter because the only chaos enemy in the game, any chaos raid boss in the game, is Mortarion, and you do not want to use melee things into Mortarion because of his AoE nuke into the things that are in melee with him. So, and there is not another Dark Angel character that's worth bringing in the game yet. So currently, we only look at the first half of his passive, which is plus 1,000 damage for 2 turns. It is actually really good. So the passive is, again, it's 10 damage, so we scale to level 3, it's 1,000. Deals plus 1,000 damage against enemies that are suppressed, stunned. Guild raid bosses cannot be suppressed or stunned, so this doesn't matter. Or that are adjacent to another friendly Dark Angels. Now, this might matter because if he has 4 hits, that's 4,000 more damage. That's quite a non-trivial amount of damage. However, as before, currently, there are no Dark Angels characters in the game that are worth bringing because Sarquel is a 1-hit plasma. He's a PvP character, and Azrael is quite lost. He doesn't know what he's doing, and I don't know either. 3 power hits in melee, it's not going to get him anywhere for guild raids, in my opinion. And scores a plus 1 hit if the enemy is also chaos. Again, we don't have chaos guild raid bosses in the game yet, so aside from Mortarion, which you can't use it against, so it is what it is. Now, I do want to look at his applications because realistically, guild raids are the only end game in the game, so I want to see how he functions. Now, the first thing that comes to my mind is a Gaskell. Because every other boss you can do damage, but I do feel that Gaskell is the only boss in the game where the 2 turns actually matter. This is because the Gaskell trap. So the way Gaskell trap works is you just trap him, you break his AI, and that way you are able to get 2 turns of 4 Bellator summons, and then the Bellator himself, and then the 2 attack, and then Ragnar attacks, and that's the sequence. Nothing else gets to attack. And you can do this for 2 turns. Now, two turns, Asmodai will work really well with those two turns because Asmodai's buff is 1000 and Athena's buff is only 400. And Asmodai can buff more effectively than Athena because Athena has a 2-inch aura essentially around him, whereas Asmodai just debuffs the boss right away. So you can't miss the Asmodai buff. Now, losing crit does suck, but you know, you're at 60% crit chance in Tarkov chains. Personally, I will take the 1000 damage over the 400 plus crit. Other than that, he does have 3-inch movement because he's still a Marine. It's unfortunate, but I do think with correct positioning, this guy might replace Athena in the Ragnar teams against Gaskell Traka. Now, another thing I want to take into account is deals versus takes. Now, deal is quite new in the game because if we look at abilities, for example, when we think of buffers, the first buffers that come to mind is Eldirion. So Eldirion's passive, it says the enemy takes. So they take more damage. Marnia's Calgar, it says the friendly units gains 900 damage. Calgar gains 900 damage stat. That means for Revas, it only buffs the 6 hits. It doesn't buff the 3 additional hits from his passive. But Eldirion doesn't have that because the enemy takes. Revas's damage stat will not have increased. It's just the damage the enemy takes increases. Now, Asmodai, if it works in the same way as Eldirion instead of Calgar, now Exetor Row might be quite interesting. Now, you will not want this in, what are they called? In boss adjacent, because boss adjacents are all about hits, but against something like the Screamer Killer, you might want this because I made a little graph here on the left side of the screen. On turn 1, you don't summon anything. On turn 2, Gita attacks, that summons one. Actus heals Gita, that summons another. So turn 1, you have 2 summons. Turn 3, you have 4 summons. Turn 5, you have 5 summons. Now, turn 4, you have 5 summons. Turn 5, Ro and Asmodai both use their abilities. That makes it so Ro gets 4 hits. Now, what's going to happen is the next turn, each time those 5 summons attack and then Gita and Actus attack, Ro is going to do 4,000 damage because 4 hits plus Asmodai. Oh, actually, LD2. So he's going to do 8,000 damage per activation. That's 5 activations, 6 activations, 7 activations, plus however many AdMech Gita can make reproc. So it might be interesting when it comes to some row comps. Personally, I do think he has a lot of potential. I'm very interested to see the Nandi video where he actually has gameplay. Like, personally, I don't have gameplay because I just started creating content 2 seconds ago, so I don't have any of the creator benefits. But I do think this guy has a lot of potential. Even if the take versus deal situation distinction, it doesn't work out, I do think for Gaskell teams, Gaskell trap teams, it might replace Athena. I really do think that. Well, anyways, that's all I have to say. Thank you very much for watching the video. Have a great day and stay safe.